Hey everybody, it's Rob the Backyard Gardener, and it's been about 6 weeks since the last update on my avocado trees that I'm growing from seed, the new series that I started on January 13th, 2020. So they're right around 4.5 months old now. We've run into a couple of snags, so I figured I would go ahead and bring you up to speed on what's going on and give you a look at them. Let's check out these avocado trees that I've grown from seed. So these avocado trees, which I'll show you in a second, have been growing indoors and have been exclusively indoors except for filming purposes. And to avoid root rot, I have been letting the top of the soil dry out, basically most of the soil dry out. I used to water it from the top, but I noticed I had a fungus gnat problem, and I don't know if we can catch any of the fungus gnats in here. Now that I brought them out, they're probably flying away. But they have done a number on these avocado trees, and I realized I needed to start watering them from the bottom if I'm gonna keep them indoors. So the last week I've been watering them in trays indoors, letting the roots and the dirt soak up the water. But it has been a struggle because it's like a catch-22. If I let it dry out a lot, it kills the fungus gnat larva, but it also makes the leaves curl a little bit because they need more water pressure and more water to sustain all the light they're getting from the indoor grow room. But here's an example of one I've kept moist, and you can clearly see the damage that the fungus gnats are doing to the root system because we've got yellowing leaves. We get brittle ends that break away. I even cut away some of the dead and dying ends. The new growths look good, but the old growths don't look good. You can see some of the damage that the fungus gnat larva has done to a few of these. It has caused some spotting on them. And it could also be partly a soil nutrition problem, possibly because I have not fertilized them yet, that they're struggling a little bit. But I don't know. I think this is pretty reminiscent of fungus gnat larva eating away at the sensitive little roots. This one is actually doing the best. Beautiful tree right there. It's been a little bit since the last update, and I wanted to give you guys a quick look. I plan on leaving these guys out here for the day. Now they're not in direct sunlight. The direct sunlight has already moved, but I want them to get some strength with some wind on their stems and a little bit better sunlight, indirect sunlight I should say, so they can get the nourishment they need. Today, because I'm leaving them out here for the rest of the day, I will be watering them from the top. So let me go ahead and use my Rainwater System, fill up a pitcher, and we'll get them watered from the top, a good soaking in, and drain out maybe any salts or anything that could also be in there, because unfortunately these trees, now that they're indoors, I've also been only using indoor tap water, and you guys know that plants don't necessarily love indoor tap water. So I'm hoping that some fresh rainwater and a little flushing out of the pots will help these guys a little bit before they go back indoors tomorrow. Let me go get some rainwater and we'll get them watered. So here's my outdoor rainwater setup. Hooks up to the gutter, pretty basic. I've attached a small hose to this one just to make it easy to fill up any of the pitchers that I have around the yard. I've actually got two of these systems, one on this side of the yard and one on the other. All you gotta do is turn on the faucet, and after a heavy rain, this 55-gallon drum is pretty full. It doesn't take long to fill up the 2-gallon pitcher, probably about 30 seconds or so. Now that it's just about topped off, all that's left to do is to turn the faucet back off and save the rest of the rainwater for another day. Don't waste any of the excess water in the hose. All the plants could use some. Now that we've got the fresh rainwater from the rainwater gutter system, I'm just going to give them a pretty heavy soaking. And I won't bore you guys with all of this right now, but I'm gonna basically flush them out until I see the water coming out from the base and really draining quite rapidly out. I'm gonna let them completely dry out again before I water from the bottom in the indoor grow room. Let me get them watered and I'll be right back. So I've given them a full flushing about 3 separate times all the way through, and I'm pretty happy with the amount of soaking we had going in here. I was trying to keep a peek above to see if I saw any fungus gnats peeking out now that their homes have been disrupted, but we definitely have some issues in the soil here, and I will keep a close eye of it. I'm also seeing some microscopic bugs. I don't know if you guys can see them. Let me see if I can get one on here for you. You can see one right there moving around. I'll take a closer look and see what that is, but I am noticing there's a little bit of those guys on some of these, and especially on the one that is the worst for wear. You can see them. And that looks a lot like the bugs, the mites, that were eating away at one of my first series avocado trees that didn't make it. And I'll have to figure out what insect that is, and if you guys know, please leave a comment down below. I'll have to figure out what that insect is and a safe way to treat it. I'll tell you, on avocado trees, whenever I have treated any disease, whether either on the foliage or in the roots, it seems to do more harm than good to the plant in the cases that I've had. Now, luckily, I've got quite a bit of plants here, so I do have some room for air and or death, if you will. Not that I want any of them to perish, but that's why I planted so many seeds, to kind of hedge my bets. I am not noticing any bugs in this one, and maybe that's why this one looks the best. If that's the case, I might quarantine, if you will, this plant away from the rest of these in the grow room and see if we have any more problems or if some recover. I think what I'll do is monitor these over the next day, maybe flush them out again before I let them completely dry out. But definitely, I wanted to bring you in just to show you we're having a little bit of struggling on some of the foliage on these young avocado saplings. So as you can see, growing avocado trees from seed indoors can present some problems. Hopefully we can figure out what those pests are. Hopefully we can treat them. In my next update, if I happen to figure that out, either by my own research or maybe some of your comments down below, I would go ahead and give you guys an update on if we've remedied that. In the meantime, I'll do all I can to make sure that they stay happy and healthy. Hopefully you enjoyed this update of my avocado trees grown from seed. If you did, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And as always, everyone, happy gardening, and thanks for watching.